Oh God, this is weird. This is weird doing it with other people here.
Oh, what?
Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the PlebPod. My name is Shane, and today I'm wearing this because I cut myself shaving last night. And today I'm joined by Pepper, who will sometimes be doing my job and is currently laughing at me. César, who has a sexy beard, and Sara, who is our therapist, but she doesn't get paid for it.
She seems very disappointed about
hello,
not being paid. Hi.
Free labor.
So,
Now,
yeah, go on.
I was going to say, César, you can say hello as well.
Hello, everyone.
No, he's not allowed.
That is all.
First disclaimer for the people who are here. This will contain explicit content or language. Make of it what you will. So if you choose to stay here, that's your own problem. Usually, every episode will surround one certain topic, and it might break off into subtopics within that, but it will be a primary topic. And for some reason, this week, with Valentine's Day coming up, we decided to discuss why it sucks and should be burnt alive.
Is that what you are discussing?
Yes. No, it's just going to be Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And how my experiences of Valentine's Day are excellent as someone who has never had a girlfriend.
Right, so with all joking aside,
What is your best Valentine's Day experience?
as I was
Straight
saying,
into content.
another reason why we chose to speak about Valentine's Day and mostly love in general is because Sara is currently on her way to completing her 10-year anniversary with her boyfriend, and also being a therapist. It just makes sense for us to talk about this with her.
Couples therapist.
Couples therapist, exactly. Sorry.
Not any therapist. Okay.
Specifically.
Yeah. So Sara personally is our expert on the matter, if you will. I personally am the expert on medium-term relationships, so anywhere between 9 months to a year and a half. Pepper has been in a long-term relationship for a few years as well, and Shane is
the expert at being single.
I could probably include myself in that as well, but whatever.
I mean, we're all single at some point. No
Correct.
shame, no shame in that.
True.
Yeah. I mean...
Now here's the thing with Valentine's Day for me, is I a lot of the time forget that it's Valentine's Day because it happens to be the same day as my granddad's birthday. So I tend to think of it as my granddad's birthday rather than Valentine's Day.
Which you're kind of thankful for, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I can just forget that it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, my experience with Valentine's Day has shifted a lot throughout the years, because most Valentine's Days that I remember as going through them single, with the huge exception of my previous relationship that actually started on Valentine's Day, which wasn't on purpose, by the way. It was just a happy coincidence that it started on Valentine's Day.
Big brain.
And a very big brain choice at that, yes.
Although, to be fair...
Also that, yeah.
Now, to be fair, that is big brain plays, and I'll tell you the reason why.
Go
You don't
on.
have to get two sets of presents for the anniversary and Valentine's Day.
And if you forget your anniversary date, you're in deep shit.
Oh yeah, no, if you forget your anniversary day, you're fucked.
I mean, good luck forgetting your anniversary date if it's on Valentine's Day, because you have to have the memory of a fucking goldfish.
Which I do. But that is a bridge we'll cross later.
That's a different problem.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, how did you guys celebrate Valentine's Day in the years coming up? Did your school did something? Did your parents do something? I mean, maybe that can have something with it, Shane. Did your parents used to celebrate Valentine's Day?
No,
Maybe that's why you don't really care for it.
mainly because I just live with my mother.
Your mama used to do something just the two of you? Oh
Well, I
gosh.
mean, to her, it's just her dad's birthday, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
So, it's mainly that for her than
Yeah, true,
Valentine's Day.
true.
So growing up, I never really had much experience outside of school with celebrating Valentine's Day because my parents just don't care. My sisters usually used to go out with their boyfriends. Um, and I wasn't really involved in any way because why would I be?
Be a bit weird.
Yeah,
A little
slightly.
bit.
So personally, my experience with Valentine's Day growing up, at least, was mostly through school. And in elementary school, so years 1 to 4, uh, we would do the usual send little love letters to one another, that kind of bullshit. Uh, Kind of the same thing from year 5 to year 9 in middle school, but not as deep as that. Like, maybe you go tell someone you like them, you get rejected for the third time that year, and, you just move on with your life. So, yeah.
What about you, Pepper? How do you feel about Valentine's Day?
I mean, goldfish memory over here. I don't really remember anything really
Actually,
being
I
made.
just want to say something, Pepper.
What?
Goldfishes actually have 2 months memory span. 2 months
Yeah,
That's
that
actually
makes
memory
sense.
span.
I can
that is-
experience the
that-
same.
Okay, go on about it. Go on about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember really much being done anywhere, to be fair. I know in school, every now and again, every year and again, it would be something done. My parents, if anything, maybe a different kind of dinner at home, something like that. I mean, I don't remember really anything standing out regarding Valentine's. But then again, they weren't really famous with their anniversary either. So it didn't weird me out that they didn't do much for Valentine's as well. So I was always very away from the whole shebangs of Valentine's and flowers everywhere and chocolates everywhere and yeah.
Roses on a bed.
I mean,
Yeah.
flowers and chocolates are a very movie-like thing.
No,
Like-
very stereotypical.
Although, what have you done since you've been dating with?
Okay, so the only time because me and Soft don't really do much for Valentine's as we do for our anniversary. Like we prefer to put more effort into the anniversary than Valentine's itself.
Makes
And
sense.
given that it's going to be 3 now. Out of the 4 Valentine's Day we got together, 3 of them were in the pandemic. So it didn't really do much.
Probably a bad time to get this relationship.
This was a very bad time. Or a good one, given how much time you spend at home. Depends on how you look at it. But yeah, we didn't really do much. I mean, she's crazy for chocolate, so I do get her some chocolate for Valentine's. If the occasion arises, we go eat somewhere, but nothing really too extravagant, to be honest. I mean, so like I said, I'd rather put more effort into the anniversary and literally go somewhere different than Valentine's.
Yeah. And so with my previous relationship that actually started on Valentine's Day, it was like a month before the whole pandemic thing happened. So we had a single month of normality. But I will say that my ex-girlfriend really doesn't, or didn't at the time, care for Valentine's Day proper, which is why I said that us beginning our relationship on Valentine's Day was a massive coincidence, like it was not at all on purpose. Um, that also made me realize how much of a I don't want to say scam, but how much of a
Yeah.
theatrical thing
Yeah.
Valentine's Day really is, because why do we need a specific holiday to celebrate love when you can celebrate love whenever you want to, as long as you're with the person or people that you love?
Okay.
So, for example, when me and my ex-girlfriend celebrated our 1 year anniversary on Valentine's Day, um, I gave her a bouquet of roses and a shit ton of chocolate, but it wasn't for Valentine's Day. It was for our anniversary, and I was seeing a lot of people like at work, because I work in a supermarket, like rushing to buy flowers and chocolates and strawberries and what what's the name of it in English? Whipped cream. And whipped cream, the whole stereotypical
Yeah,
thing of
yeah.
Valentine's Day. I was like, what's the point? It's February 14th. It's another date in the calendar. Why not celebrate love on February 15th or
I mean,
the 13th?
the supposed story behind it, it's quite beautiful. We can agree that it has been a little bit reversed, the whole thing, but do you know the story? I mean,
I think I do.
I think
Not at all.
I don't think it's the same for all countries. I'll just say maybe the Portuguese version, maybe César and Pepper can amend it, but it was like a friar or something when it was forbidden to get married, and he would marry people in secrets so they can be with their true loves.
Yeah.
And they just assigned this day to him, and that particular part is quite beautiful. Like he was these people love each other, I'm gonna marry them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Although, yeah, like chocolates, how they say to what Coca-Cola did to Christmas, like marketing thing
Yeah.
of it took over. I mean, Valentine's Day, for I'll say this, and it will trigger some people. For healthy relationships, should have that kind of feeling of why does it have to be this day? Because for many relationships that neglect how to express their love, Valentine's will kind of be important. Maybe it's like the 1 or 2 day in a year that those people express their love because it's on the calendar,
Yep.
Maybe those people should
Isn't that a
do
little
that.
dangerous, though?
I mean, can elaborate, please, on the
mean-
dangerous part.
To rely on a calendar date to express your
Aha.
love to someone.
I did say not healthy relationships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she did say Pepper.
Okay. So if you're doing that, don't do it anymore. Stop it.
Yeah,
Do it every day.
yeah, I mean, I get the feeling that
But I don't buy chocolate and flowers every day because that'll get expensive.
And
just have
diabetes.
sex all day.
Valentine's Day has been. I'm gonna just drop this bomb, and then I'll say the very unjust thing of search for it. But there is a thing called love languages, and Valentine's Day is so focused on gift giving. What about
True.
all the other forms of expressions of love? It's
Now-
just gift. Some people just don't like gift giving. It's not
True.
their love language, so
Now that
they
you
won't
ma-
appreciate the holiday.
Shane?
He doesn't like giving
I
gifts.
I don't like going to the effort of getting people gifts.
Okay.
Do you like receiving
that-
them?
Yeah,
How dare you!
but the thing is, I don't even like whether it's well, I mean, not for Valentine's Day, clearly, but like even for things like my birthday and Christmas, I don't expect a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I don't ask for much. If I want something, I'll just get it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I hate the concept of gift giving.
Mm-hmm.
It's time and effort that I don't possess.
I mean, it's not your love language. It's okay.
True.
There are 4 other more.
And speaking of love languages, my love language personally is physical touch. What are yours?
Mine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Like,
need a
you-
list.
How to answer this? Diogo will be on a notepad waiting for my answer. I am what I feel is like a love language whore.
Okay.
Because I do enjoy all of them. But
Knew that. I knew she was
They-
gonna say that.
they do change sometimes because I'm a person. I literally just today I said this. I usually say this about myself. Like I get tired and bored very easily.
Mhm.
The only thing I haven't gotten tired of in all of my life is Diogo. It's the only thing I haven't gotten tired of, in a way. And
A romantic.
I think shame. I think it just changes. Sometimes I am more like I mean the typical top 3 is physical touch and acts of service. I do enjoy acts of service and then quality time. The other 2,
Mm-hmm.
I mean sometimes they can come up if I'm in need of that validation through those forums. But I don't have a love language that I'm like, no, this is not my love language, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I know,
Okay.
it's so I don't exemplify having a love language that well because I am kind of
She has
torn
all of
between
them.
them.
Exactly.
I mean, but it's
Pepper?
okay to have all of them.
She has all the Infinity Stones.
What
Exactly.
What are all the 5?
So you have physical touch, very self-explanatory.
Mhm.
Acts of service, self-explanatory, or should I say something about it?
No, you're gonna need to explain that one to me.
So acts of service is doing something extra for the other people. Like along my household chores, I will also do like a household chore for you. And then you come home and it's like, I've done this for you. And you'll be like, oh, thank
Shane's
you.
gone.
Bye, Shane.
Shane's gone. Shane's left the chat.
Why?
He doesn't want to do stuff for other people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant you literally left the chat. So that's 2. 3, words of affirmation. It's more the verbally explicit love language. You say the words, I love you. You say, I love you because of this. I love you because of that. He's saying, hey,
I enjoy
like,
your company.
you are beautiful. I love your body. It's in the middle of the day, getting a text. I'm thinking of you. I love you. You know, those kind of things. And I support you in your decisions, no matter what.
There's
And-
Valentine for context.
Yep.
Then you
Hello,
have
Saf.
then you have gift giving, which is also self-explanatory. Gift giving.
Lucifer.
Cue
That's
Pepper's cat.
That's Pepper's other Valentine.
And
He didn't
then
really have a choice in.
the last
Yeah.
one is quality time, which is also kind of
Yeah, it's
self-explanatory.
self-explanatory.
I did say fire, like
Yeah,
physical
you
touch. Okay. What I did remember, sorry to deviate a little bit. So those are the 5 love language, Shane. How do you feel about those?
I feel like I'd be physical touch.
Okay. Pepper?
I'm being very distracted right now.
So
Right,
Pepper.
So Pepper, your love language?
I don't think
Goldfish memory acting up.
Yeah, yeah. I don't feel like I have one in particular. I'd say physical touch. Yeah. Acts and service, sort of.
I mean, there is for the 3 of you, maybe 2 of you. There is a a quiz from the author of this concept, which is free to take on his website. You
Okay.
can go there, and then it gives you a percentage, like you are like 50% physical touch, but then 30% words of affirmation, something like that.
Right. Shit.
And then you can, do
Mhm.
that.
So the thing with love languages is, right, I don't know a lot on the topic personally because I'm not an expert in any sort of way. I feel like our love language isn't just what we express towards others, it's what we like to be expressed towards us.
I mean, love language are related to the way you see love.
Okay.
So naturally, it's gonna be the way you express it,
Mm-hmm.
and also the way you feel it. Why is this
Mm-hmm.
important? It is of utmost importance if your partner is of a different love language.
Yeah.
So, and especially some of them are truly the discrepancy between the partners is truly amazing, because you are expressing love in your own way, but that is not the way the other person feels it.
Yep.
And some confusion and miscommunication will arise from that. I
Mm-hmm.
used to have a lady in my practice thing where it was what first made me think of this concept, because she had a boyfriend and he would spend a lot of time with her and say a lot of things. So, and say a lot of good things. So, quality
Words of
time
affirm.
and word of affirmations.
Yeah.
And she would be like, "Yeah, I know it's nice, but I mean, but it doesn't give flowers. I mean, it doesn't bring me a chocolate. I mean, so she wasn't feeling the love because she is a gift giving person. She
Mm-hmm.
probably likes to give gifts and probably loves to receive them.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that it ultimately made them break up, because they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't express in the other's love language.
Yeah. I feel like that sort of communication is important, precisely because of what I said about your love language not just being what you give, but also what you want. Um, for example, in my previous relationship, as mentioned, my love language is mostly physical touch. My ex's love language, I believe, was quality time, which is a bit of a match, I would say, because
Cuddles!
when we're holding
Cuddles,
hands,
Netflix,
when
and
we were
chill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
also
no,
a
that one
lot
better.
of that, yeah. When we were holding hands, when we were hugging, when we almost always slept spooning, like to her, that would be quality time, and to me, that's like, being touched by the person I loved at the time.
You
However,
see, finish.
yeah,
I'm sorry, César, finish.
however, I can see how miscommunication and discrepancies would arise in combinations such as, for example, a couple where one person's love language is, say, words of affirmation, but the other person's love language is um, acts of service. Because they are two fundamentally different love languages, and if the couple doesn't communicate about that early on, I can understand why that leads to problems into the relationship like sometime later.
And if you think about it, if you the even this concept is such um, a concept that makes you think of the other, because what good does to you, like to yourself, to know your love language? It does nothing practically, because you express the way you express love. So why put a name onto it just for yourself? You see what
Exactly.
I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's mostly because the other person needs to know what your love language is.
So that
Just
they
the
can express
concept
it.
in itself, it's trusting the other to do what I want, like not really want, but what would reach me, you know?
Yeah. Shane, thoughts?
He's quite
No
nervous
thoughts.
about
Head
it.
empty.
No thoughts.
Head empty.
It's empty in here.
Why am I here again?
I mean, no thoughts, head empty, or no thoughts, head exploded.
Mm.
I'm just taking it all in.
Right. like a sponge absorbing water.
Yes.
In 2 months'
Okay,
time,
so
we'll see what evolution Shane has made.
Over time.
Well, in that case, Pepper, thoughts?
Everything makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much everything's been said about love language in that regard. Like, there needs to be an understanding of what you need and what the other person needs, and somehow either come to a midway point between the two, or just go their own ways and eventually find someone else, or just go single the rest of life. I mean, whatever happens. I mean, there's also, I mean, I'd say there's always a trial period. Just like you have a trial period for Photoshop and After Effects and Premiere and all those programs, a relationship always starts on the trial. And
Disclaimer.
well, yeah.
We at the Plebels are not sponsored by Adobe.
No. I wish. It cost me a fortune. But you always go through that period where, well, in one way you have the honeymoon period that Sarah's told me several times before.
I mean, if you want, I was actually waiting for you to give a chance, because I could expand on that a bit if you want.
I know. And you obviously have that honeymoon period, but it's at the same time it's also a bit of a trial to see if you really match. Could you stop looking at me like that?
Technical difficulties,
very
folks.
Very distracting.
I mean, but what you said is really important in these couple things, and even when we are the people involved in this podcast, it's actually a good thing to keep in terms, because we have, I don't like to say this about myself, but we have the experienced one, and then we have what César said as the medium-term relationship. This is important, and he also said the longest one was a year and a half. Because I'm not going to say the terms, because I don't remember the exact terms, but there is such a thing as the phases of the start of a relationship, like the most important one being the honeymoon, which will be followed by a period of discussions that will either, as the expression goes, make it or break it. And why is this also a little bit important, and I'm mentioning the times? Because science has reached the consensus that the honeymoon phase can last to up from 6 months to 2 years together. And most people do reach the 2-year mark or near that, and then do break up. That's, if you think about it, if you really think about most of your friends breaking up, it's going to be near that time area, which is also a little bit of a not funny sidetrack, but that is also how most affairs usually last because of that honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
So in here we have César, which had a honeymoon phase and didn't quite last longer than that.
Yep.
And then we have Pepper, which from personal experience, I'm still on the fence, because Pepper has quite a specific case. I don't know if you guys want to cut this out, because being too specific, because what the studies also have pointed is that long distance relationship, which is your case, do give like an extended warranty, Because in most normal relationships, meaning people can interact without the space barrier. It can go from 6 months to 2 years, but long distance can stretch these things. And I don't. The number 4 is coming to mind. Like it can stretch up to 4 years, but I'm not gonna cite that one because I'm not sure. But it can stretch. I know. And even things like I'm gonna put on my 10-year relationship now. I have a lot of friends with very long-lasting relationships also, and I recognize they have problems I do not have because even though it's a small distance, I can only interact with my boyfriend mostly on weekends. And now that I have the job and a more defined routine and a car, I've been seeing him almost daily. But this is not common. It's usually on the weekends. What do I mean with this? Most of my friends' couples are having a little bit of a trouble right now. I don't know if the 10-year mark is some kind of like trouble tools in the children's development, but they have problems. I can see we are stretching out because we don't, for example, live together yet. You
Yeah.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
So thoughts. Lessons over. Thoughts now.
I I'm gonna say something where I don't know where to draw the line between my own opinion and science, but based on people that I know, my own experience, and just life in general, I think that long distance relationships are a case where, since you can't physically be with the person as often as you would be able to if you weren't long distance, I think that if the relationship ends up being successful after, say, a year and a half, it gives you a sort of emotional endurance where you're able to cope with not constantly being with that person, which also I think sort of explains the extended honeymoon phase, because if you're not with the person physically as often, you don't feel the euphoria of being with them as often either.
Actually, it's the other way around, Cesar. It's not
Really?
the good feelings that define the honeymoon. It's pushing pushing away the bad things, like the flaws and the discrepancies between the two persons. The more
Right.
you try to ignore them, the longer the honeymoon phase. And that's why a
Okay.
long distance can extend them, because you don't see that person in such a frequency that you will detect the flaws much earlier than the other relationships. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. No, that makes total sense
I mean,
actually. Yeah, thoughts?
I'd say it's a bit of I mean, I think there's two sides to it. Like, I can totally agree with the fact that by being long distance, it may extend the honeymoon period. But at the same time, I also feel like it's easier to break things apart quicker, because it's easier to detach from that person since you're not really too much time with them. And I mean, even with all this technology and being on FaceTime and WhatsApp and Instagram and whatever you want to use, I think it can work both ways, because I mean, there's not those many stories of long distance relationship, especially at the beginning, that have worked. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. That haven't worked. And I mean, obviously there are always some that do, but I think there's a bit of there's a lot of two sides in this. Obviously, it can be better in
I
some
mean,
regards,
if
but
we can try to pick apart, because I don't have a statistics on it, but we can try to pick apart that maybe those relationships do fall out, not because of the normal development of relationship, that is the discussions, the arguing, but maybe of external factors, so
oh yeah,
um, because
Yeah.
what we do have to consider two things in a relationship, about efforts, because in one way, I don't know which one of you is doing but it's
It's
distracting me.
Pepper.
No, that's you, Pepper.
she's cooking. Blame
I
her.
because you have two ways in which the effort will come, I believe. Again, this part, do not cite me. I don't have like a specific paper in mind. I'm just speaking from the amalgamation of
Yeah.
my
Of info.
my things. Yes, and
Citation needed.
yeah, but there are, in the normal relationship, at that mark, arguing will start, and then people can decide, okay, this is worth the investment or not. But in a long distance, and even in normal relationships, sometimes there are some internal or external factors that will make you just go, I don't want to put the effort into this without the arguing. So I don't know in which part this, that's what I said. I don't really know the names of the phases, because I did not search that before going here. I was
Yeah.
more in tune with love languages. And but there is that of losing the interest, maybe because it's too much, it's high effort. Long relationships are high efforts without the high reward that normal relationships normal do have. So maybe, I mean, I don't know if you, I also am speaking from information, not experience, because I don't have that thing. Even though I'm only at the weekends with him, I can, if I want, just
Yeah.
go to him. So that does, I do not have the space barrier, so I can't really speak from experience.
I mean,
Would you say that there is another honeymoon period when you
Yes.
first move in together?
You
Because you
will
learn each
have,
other's habits and you change certain aspects of how you
yeah,
go about your life.
it's cyclical. You will have a lot of the cycle, returning to the honeymoon phase every time something really new and exciting happens. So in the beginning, you will have like little mini honeymoons, because of the first time meeting the parents, first time, like everything will be perfect for a little while.
First time
Then
having
you
sex.
then you have the big honeymoons, like living together, getting engaged, getting married.
Married.
Those do tend to cause a big honeymoon phase all over again, which, because it's a high-low thing. When you get too high, then you will, the low will get lower, because you are getting higher. So it will go on the cycle. That's why I haven't said this in a while, but I do say this. I do think this. Even though I have 10 years on the back with my boyfriend, when we go live together, I will not take him for granted. I know that it can make it can make
Make it
everything
all
go
go
away.
away. Yeah.
You have to have this in mind, because sometimes, what I can say is that I'm willing to put the effort, and I hope he's willing to put the effort. If the honeymoon phases ends and new arguing arises because of household chores and things like that,
Yeah.
but that's the most important part, the effort on the both sides.
Question.
well,
Since every big new event in a couple's life can produce an entirely new honeymoon phase, is that
Although these will not last 6 to 2 years
okay?
as the first one.
Is it is that why some couples try to save their marriages by having a kid.
Actually, that may be why. Yes.
Like, subconsciously, they think if I have a child or another child with this person, maybe it'll reignite the flame.
Mixed with a little bit of if you want to be a parent, because kids do
Yeah.
have their own attachments to parenthood, and it has its own liking. But yeah, some people do tend to get pregnant because remember how happy we were when John was small,
Yeah.
and
I'm on my
that's the
ninth
thing.
child.
I mean, they eventually stop doing that because they will see the pattern is not working.
Exactly.
But the first or second child, I believe, can come from that. Maybe the third or the fourth. Maybe more than that. No.
Don't
I
say
do have
that
to
about the
say-
fourth child because I am the fourth child.
Well, César, I hate to break it to you.
Bad news, mate.
Fuck. So, mostly I just want to say that relationships will never work, like any kind of relationship in any phase of the relationship. None of it will ever work if there's no communication between the two or more people involved in the relationship. And that's
I mean,
that's valid whether we're speaking about how we express and how we express our love towards them and how we want them to express their love towards us. And it's valid towards, everything that's essential in the relationship. So anything from sharing tasks, spending time together, what they do with that time together. If there's no clear communication on every single aspect of the relationship, there's no way it can ever work.
I mean, people can still try to work on it, but if they are trying to work without active change, it's just gonna be toxic until someone gets enough of it.
Yeah.
Some people can put up with toxic for quite a while, though. So, yeah.
This guy.
I mean,
That's not even just for romantic
I mean-
relationships either. Just
No,
for relationships, including
In general.
friendships.
which
Yeah.
we'll
Including
talk
family.
about in the separate.
Love languages that do apply to all relationships. Just the specifics of the actions are quite different because the physical touch to a friend versus the physical touch to a partner is going to be completely different. But they do apply. So if I know Cesar's physical touch, if Cesar's love language is physical touch, maybe next time I see him, I can give him a hug.
Please do.
See, he's a hugging person.
I am.
Hugs are nice.
I love hugs.
I mean, what we can learn from this entire conversation and trying to come back to the Valentine's Day is one, learn your partner's love language, or maybe if you don't have a partner for Valentine's Day, learn your friend's love language, learn your family's love language. The person you care most in the world right now, learn their love language. Try to use it. And then
Also,
say.
find your own, because I feel like that's important too.
Find your what?
Your own
love language.
Because I mean,
Find
I
out your
think-
own love language.
Oh!
There you go.
I first heard Rome, like city. I then heard home. And then, what? Yeah, do find your own love language because that's the way you can communicate it to the person you like. Or, like, to your mom. Mom, this is my love language. Can you please try to use it?
no.
So you have to know your own. And also, I think important bit of this conversation is this honeymoon thing, because Valentine's Day do trigger a lot of mini honeymoons. And one thing we have to keep in mind is that if something good happens that triggers a honeymoon, it will happen wherever the stage the relationship is. So if the relationship is in the arguing phase, I don't know if there's a specific name for it, it can trigger a honeymoon right in the middle of it. And do be careful to not let it see past the flaws again, because you were just in the middle of discovering them and communicating about them and trying to solve them, and then bam, all the progress will be halted for this little mini honeymoon day, Valentine's Day, something, and
Right.
it won't. If you know what I mean, especially because when we talk about Valentine's Day, we also have to keep in mind a very specific case I don't want to get forgotten, which is the toxic relationships. And Valentine's Day is a day that they do tend to make them progress in time, because it can be, as I said in the beginning, the one day your partner does something good. And please don't hold on to that if that's the only good thing. Maybe we can have another relationship podcast discussing healthy versus non-healthy relationships on
Yeah.
a more particular level. But let me just say this warning: don't let Valentine's Day make you ignore the flaws again. Okay.
I'm about to say something that may be controversial. It's
Oh,
my
no.
own opinion. And there are exceptions to this, of course. I think that the couples that celebrate Valentine's Day the most, like they do exceptionally extravagant things to celebrate Valentine's Day, I think those are the same couples that are toxic. Because if they need to wait for Valentine's Day to do something extravagant together, they have nothing else in their relationship. Also, bye, Shane.
I mean, I'd say that's relative to how they behave the rest of the year, because they can be extra on Valentine's Day, but if they kind of have a thing where they do it somewhat regularly, then it's more okay, because it's their own thing. So it's
Exactly.
not. They may be a little extra on Valentine's Day because it's Valentine's Day. But if you're just doing something on that day the whole
Because it's
year,
Valentine's Day.
then it's probably
Then-
not a good thing.
Yeah,
And
which was mostly what I meant.
yeah. And I'd say another thing, and I'm not sure if you're necessarily going to agree with, but I would say don't look at the arguing phase as necessarily a bad thing. I'd take it
course,
the
it's-
other way around, because
Yeah.
the honeymoon phase might be very good and all fancy and dandy and whatever, but it's the arguing that lets you go to another honeymoon phase.
True.
I mean, just a little thing.
Soft doesn't agree.
First of all, no. First of all, that is a very important thing you just said, because it is the bump that I already said will make it or break it. So it's the most important part in a relationship. Although when you go over the bump, there's not necessarily a honeymoon after that. It can be just a stable phase for a long time.
yeah, like a relationship.
Just that.
A relationship doesn't have to be either a honeymoon phase or an arguing phase. Like,
I mean, that not seems healthy at all, actually.
true. Like you don't always have to be on top of a mountain or at the bottom of a valley. You could just be level.
Oh yeah, most of the time you probably will be.
Exactly.
But you did say quite an important thing, that don't be afraid of the
bump.
discussion
Yeah,
bit,
of
because
the arguing.
because and let me I'm gonna gush over a little bit right now. I'm gonna get in my own feelings right now, but it's after that bump when you take the image you built on the honeymoon phase and you complete it with the flaws that you see, because no one is perfect, that you get the true person that you're gonna spend your, I mean, in my case, I do intend to spend my life with him, but it's just a completely different image that you see. And I really can't explain it. Like when you see someone and you can see it's like the thing that goes the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you can see
Yeah.
all of that while looking, and then you can also see like, and I know this is you, and I accept you for that.
Yeah.
It's a whole different kind of feeling. Most people that don't ever go over the bump will never have this feeling. It's a complete, because actually you will just, I will just run my mouth again, because I like to distinguish passion from love, because honeymoon is a very passion focused stage. It's just a lot of that passion. But when you go over the bump, it's natural for the passion to go away, which is also why most couples do end up breaking up, because the passion goes away and they are like, I don't feel the butterflies anymore. Maybe I don't like this person. And they move on to the next one. But real love, it's what stays after the passion and after the bump. And that feeling, I mean, the true nakedness emotionally, and you feel with the other person. I'm stumbling with my words because I really can't. I was not expecting to talk about this. I really can't put it in words, but it's a completely different feeling. Completely.
So essentially, passion is when you're falling in love with the person, and love is when you choose to be with that person despite all of their flaws. Like you see the good, the bad, and the ugly while falling in love with them. But then love is when you make the choice of, I've seen you in the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I still want to be with you.
I just want to change a word you said. It's not despite your flaws. It's, and I accept
Well,
your
yeah,
flaws.
yeah.
It's kind of different, because despite your flaws kind of can become toxic. Like, I will only focus on the good parts and will never see the flaws again.
Yeah.
And it's not that. It's, I accept your flaws. I accept that this is the thing that completes you, because if you didn't have these flaws, it wouldn't be you.
Exactly.
It
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
just a
yeah.
random man. You know.
It's basically like I've seen you with the good parts and the bad parts, and I want you, all of you, the good and the bad.
And the feeling is, how can I explain it? Because the passion everyone kind of knows, because it's the butterflies and the anxiety, the good anxiety that comes with it, the excitement. But the love thing, it's just a feeling of quietness, of calm, of zen.
Peace.
It's just peace.
Yeah.
So no
it's
butterflies,
peaceful.
if you think about it. You can have the butterflies again, because you can, passion goes all up and down, all around the relationship. But the love that stays after the bump, it's just peace. I can't really
Yeah.
explain it in any other way.
And that is why Sara is our therapist.
Yep.
No.
Because she can't speak, but she knows what's going on.
No. Maybe you can say that's why Sara is our expert, but I'm the therapist because I study this. It's different.
Fair point. Fair point.
I do have the personal experience, but I did study couples therapy and family therapy. I am a psychologist.
And on that note, that was the first episode of the PlebPod.
Okay, you're just stealing my job now.
No.
Yes, I am stealing your job,
Shane,
because
you're
fuck you.
fired.
That's why.
I mean, I before we end this, I do want the final thoughts to be coming from Shane, which is the unexperienced one, and I do want to know what he feels and what he thinks, being taught all
nervous.
these concepts. and maybe this definition of these terms like passion and love, like, tell me about it, Shane.
I mean, you can hear a bunch of experiences, but it won't really matter until you go through it yourself, will it?
I mean,
Oh, yeah. You're not wrong.
He's learned something already.
Yeah. But, like, in general, how do you think that the things that not just you, but how do you think the things that you've learned from this conversation will help you going forward?
Have you learned anything
Yes.
with this conversation?
yes. How? Tell me.
What I've learned is right off Valentine's Day.
You said right off Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that will depend on the girl because you are straight,
True.
right? That will depend on the girl. You will choose you. But yeah, it's okay. If the girl doesn't want Valentine's Day, just don't do something with it. Just do anything. Oh my god,
Don't
what are
overdo it.
words?
I think it's
Yeah,
the
don't
key.
overdo it.
I mean, I do also want to say this. Don't take your partner for granted. If you celebrate Valentine's Day, ask them to be your Valentine again. Like, yeah, I said Valentine's Day. It's gonna be with my husband. Ask them, do you want to celebrate Valentine's Day with me? Be all
Yeah.
cutesy about it.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Like-
Don't.
Mostly it boils down to reassure the person that you love them. Because no one should ever ask you to love them. You should just love people unconditionally. Unless they're toxic. In that case, fuck that.
I mean, that can be a topic for another day
It will be a topic for another.
because
Absolutely.
romantic partnerships can never be loved unconditionally
Okay.
because you do have conditions.
You gotta
Otherwise, you
learn the
break
terms
up.
Yeah.
and conditions.
Because
Sign a
What?
contract.
The ones that no one ever
Otherwise-
reads?
Yeah.
because if you say don't hit me, that's a condition, you know. It's just
Yeah, not
I'm
exactly
sorry
what
for
I
this.
meant,
it's
but
just an
yeah.
example. But you know, when people do usually say love unconditionally, like to a children, if the children hits you, you're not gonna be, no, I don't want to be your parent anymore. Usually, that's unconditional love, you know.
Yeah.
Partnerships can never be unconditional love. No, because
Unconditional love, yeah.
that will be toxic. That will be, that can be abusive. That will open the space for that. So
Right, so that's been the first episode of the PlebPod. Pepper. Help.
Well, this is the end then of the first PlebPod. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you've taken something out of this conversation about love languages, the honeymoon phases, the arguing phases, how you can maybe improve your relationship if you're in a bit of a pickle. If not, if you're in a shady situation, well, something will happen eventually. I mean, it always does.
Yeah.
I mean, you can comment your concerns and maybe we can tackle them later in
Yeah.
another podcast.
Absolutely.
Feel free to suggest topics that you want to see here in the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, then do know we'll also be on the Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, and Spotify. So if it's more convenient for you than YouTube, because obviously it has that mechanism of not being able to leave the application while watching and etc. So we'll be there as well. If you are listening in one of those platforms, then make sure to check out our YouTube channel as well. Links will be in the respective descriptions. And with that, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Don't know exactly with who, but with more four Plebels to join in the conversation. So make sure to tune in for that, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye, everyone.
Toodles, bitch.